David Coggins' The Believer, A Year in Fly Fishing is out now, and it is a must-read. The Believer is the second book on fly fishing from Coggins, following The Optimist, A Case for the Fly Fishing Life. I had high expectations for The Believer as The Optimist became a favorite, which I pushed on nearly everyone I know. The Believer is structurally similar to it, with each chapter taking the reader to a new location with a different targeted species and a new lesson to take with you. The introduction quickly lets you know The Believer is much more than a fishing book, which Coggins has said is obligatory when you write a fishing book. It's more about how you spend your time as you approach or pass the midpoint of your life. While fishing is his devotion, he clearly shows that it could be any other leisure activity you pursue. Quote, "At some point you ask how you ended up here. I'm not sure if this happens to deadheads at their 100th show, or if people ask why they're in the front row of WrestleMania with their face painted. You made some decisions way back when, and they stuck. You had a chance to take the off-ramp, but you kept going. You made it to Las Vegas and placed the big bet. Now you're on the far side of the world trying to get a trout to take a fly. And if it doesn't, you might melt down. Catch the fish, and you're a genius. And if you don't, you ask, whose brilliant idea was this again?" At 210 pages, it becomes a quick read with how well Coggins keeps the reader engaged. Not just a collection of big fish stories, this literary journey has drama, an almost unbelievable cast of characters, and a lot of lessons for living in your middle age. His storytelling feels like it belongs with Hemingway and McWane, yet of the non-fiction variety. Even bearing the Scribner imprint feels right at home, like Papa before him. Plus, between a chapter on Cuba and a chapter on Spain, there's plenty of Hemingway referenced. And the biggest unfounded hurdle with this book for a wide audience, I think, is the subtitle, A Year in the Fly Fishing Life. A niche category could give a reader pause, or it could be relegated to the outdoors section of a Barnes & Noble when it deserves much more than that. After reading Coggins' first book, The Optimist, I bought copies for many friends and family, many of which had zero interest in a fishing book. Each person that read it marked it among their favorites they had read that year. One friend who read a book a week for the whole year said it was his favorite of the 52 he read that year. This friend also had The Believer delivered on release day. But if you're in it for the fishing, there is plenty of that to get you dreaming of airfare to chase tarpon in Cuba or spey casting for salmon in Norway. The drama Coggins builds with his successes and his failures while fishing keeps you on the edge of your seat. Go pick up a copy at a local bookshop, or I've linked to it on Amazon below. I promise you'll love it. I'll leave you here with one final passage from the introduction, which is so relatable to anyone in the middle years of their life. Quote, "How much you fish changes, like so many things, once domestic obligations enter the equation. How could it not? Fishing, which had signified an individualistic streak, now implies a lack of commitment to our shared life. If we start a family, then, well, we know how that ends. Fishing moves down the list of priorities and might be left off it entirely. Other things come into focus. I now admit that yes, the trunk of my car could function as more than my own exclusive fishing storage. It's been devoted to only angling essentials for so long that I forgot it could be used for anything else. I've reassessed why I go fishing in the Bahamas with men my father's age, instead of relaxing on the beach with somebody I'd actually like to see in a bathing suit. Angling, considered in this light, is no longer seen in the independent Thoreauvian tradition. It might possibly, looked at in a certain way, be considered a distraction. But a distraction from what? That fishing is secretly the primary focus and everything else is a distraction does not go over well at the dinner table. I hope you'll pick up a copy of The Believer. I think you'll enjoy it. And let me know what you think in the comments if you have picked it up and read it. And I'll end this here, as I like to do, with a drink. And this will be some Havana Club 7-year, which Coggins enjoys while he's in Cuba. Thanks for watching The Whiskey Bugger. I hope you check out The Believer, and cheers.